We're Industrial European Trade Union. We're the European Trade Union Federation representing manufacturing, mining and energy workers across 39 European countries. Around 7 million workers organised in 200 trade unions across the continent of Europe. We're in many cases facing similar challenges, but we start out from very different starting points as within the trade union movement in terms of workers' rights and also industrial relations, how strong the collective bargaining system is in different countries. And then the attitude of governments towards trade unions differs very dramatically across Europe. We're seeing at the moment a rising wave of union repression, attacks on trade unions and trade union officials, shop stewards, and that's a very worrying trend for us at a time when it's absolutely clear that the challenges that we face are colossal. We have enormous change in our industries as a result of climate action, but also industrial development, the economic situation, geopolitical situation, the war in Ukraine. And in that context, we need more collective bargaining. We need more social dialogue. What we're seeing are attacks on trade unions, which runs completely counter to what's needed to manage the situation fairly.
See, when we talk local, it's always about two things. First of all, global standards. So if you see that in Hungary, companies do not honor global rights and standards, then we are always there to support you. That's number one. Number two is networking. One of our main instruments is to bring people together from different companies, from different sectors. Now here we try to bring people together from an entire supply chain, right? This has never happened in industrial before. So it's all about information exchange. It's about solidarity. It's about developing joint topics that we can work on to strengthen the workforce and the unions. So I think this is what we can offer from a global level. We can't do magic, but we can bring people together. And then we can work together on joint agendas, topics, campaigns, projects, whatever you want. I think this is our strength. And happy to support you anytime.
Hungary is a member of the European Union, and one of the ways that we hope to support our Hungarian affiliates in what is an extremely challenging situation, I mean, we can't pretend it's not, is to ensure that within European legislation where minimum standards are set at European level, that those lift the situation and the conditions for Hungarian trade unions and the workforce. So we have recently concluded legislation which is called European minimum wage legislation. It's not really about minimum wages, it's about collective bargaining coverage. And this sets a target that every European country should have 80% collective bargaining coverage. Now, if you compare that to the situation today in Hungary, it's a dramatically different reality. But what that legislation means is that the Hungarian government has to set out an action plan about how collective bargaining coverage will increase. And we know that where workers have the right to bargain and they can collectively negotiate their terms and conditions, you end up with a better industrial policy. And what we heard this morning, the contrast, for example, between the government strategy in Sweden compared to the government strategy in Hungary, equally emerging battery sectors, the same number of current battery sites that are in place. It's radically different, and the key difference between the two is the stability of the industrial relations. If you want to create an industrial fabric which has an economic benefit for the country and isn't just about stripping out value and sending value to foreign investors abroad, you really crucially have to have social conditionality in state aid, but you have to have social conditionalities in all of the the policies around the development of the industry. That's what they're doing in Sweden, and that's why there's such a domestic added value from the industry. What we would like to see is how we can use European rules to try and put in place those social conditionalities. For example, when European funds are spent, which are and will be a key form of revenue in Hungary, then there should be social conditionalities attached to those European funds. They should be spent in workplaces that respect collective bargaining. They should be supporting that European legislation to reach 80% collective bargaining coverage. What we say in Brussels is that the money should follow the law. And what we need to see in Hungary is the Hungarian government actually applying that in practice.
I think you have a tremendous chance here in Hungary with all these investments coming in, lots of new jobs. So go ahead and enjoy the time. I mean, you're one of the few regions where really you can see growth and investment. So I mean, I think you're in a pretty good situation, and try to organize the guys and make a good union job, and I'm sure you will. I have full confidence in your capacities here.
In the process now, one of the exciting, very practical things that we're hoping to start in the coming years is direct support to the Hungarian unions in organising, building capacity and supporting the organising of this new exciting industry, and hopefully we will go for a high road battery industry in Hungary, lift the standards, lift the working conditions, and ensure that we don't end up with that kind of asset stripping industry, which will be damaging for Hungary, but ultimately also damaging for the rest of Europe as well.
Ez a projekt az Európai Unió által támogatott projekt, legalább azt tervezünk, szóval még nem biztos, hogy tényleg kapjunk ezt a projektet. 2 éves projektről lenne szó, ahol több európai országokban segítünk, tényleg az tagszervezési munka, vagy inkább munkában, vagy inkább azt mondjunk, hogy ebben, hogy erősödjen a szakszervezetet, hogy ezt a szektort jobban tudják reprezentálni. A részleteket majd kidolgozunk persze, amikor közösen a partnerekkel, de a VDSZ biztos, hogy ebből lesz partner, ugyanúgy, mint másik szakszervezetek is a Magyarországon, aki a mi tagszervezeteink. Erről szól a dolgok, hogy közösen tudunk képzést tartani ilyen tagszervezőknek, akik aztán erre szakosodnak, hogy oda mennek a vállalatokhoz. De lesz ennek egy politikai szint is, hogy iparpolitikailag egy hálózatot fogunk építeni, hogy az országok tudnak egymás között segíteni ebben, hogy milyen iparpolitikai lépéseket van szükség ez, hogy tényleg a képviselet működjön.
Does it actually have an impact on the domestic workers' rights and privileges if they actually look out for the migrant workers?
Yeah, we're protecting each other, we're protecting ourselves, we're protecting all the members together. If we're all part of the union movement, if everybody has their rights in the workplace, in the employer to deal together with problems, with issues, and to have collective bargaining, make their agreements together with the employer, representing all workers together.
2 things. First of all, we're all human beings, doesn't matter where we come from, so we all deserve the same rights and the same income. But secondly, if foreign workers, migrant workers, are treated differently, for instance, they earn less, they have less wages, it normally always has a negative repercussion for those earning more, because there will be a constant pressure on the working conditions and on the wages of those who earn more today. And we see that all these 2-tier wage and working condition systems have never worked. They lead to conflict, and in the very end, they are always bad for both sides.
We're here in Hungary, where it's going to be the big hub of the industry growing, of making the battery manufacturing for the electric vehicles, and that's why there's a big focus of Industrial Global Union, Industrial European Trade Union, to invest and support the Hungarian unions to make sure that the new jobs that are created are union jobs, decent work, whether it's Hungarian workers or migrant workers coming in, for everybody to have a voice in the workplace in this new industry and to work together in solidarity along the supply chain. So we're the auto workers, chemical workers, mine workers, electric workers, all together. That's why we're here.
Csak azt tudok mondani, hogy ez a szektor nagyon fontos, mi azt látunk Európából, látunk ezt, hogy Magyarország ebben az egészben milyen fontos szerepet játszik, úgyhogy ennek örülök, ilyen félmagyarként mondjuk ezt, hogy tényleg ebben én is tudok dolgozni, segíteni, hogy tényleg Magyarországon a dolgozók képviselet jobban működik ebben a szektorban.